Hello and welcome to my garage. So today we are going to put some stuff in the old compost bin and get that started. But before we do that, last week, I think, maybe the week before, I don't remember. At some point in the past, I cleaned out the garden for the most part. I cleaned out all the dead plants and everything like that. The garden's clean, ready to be replanted for fall. So I'm gonna shove some of that footage in right now. Now, back to the compost. So I have my little container, and by little I mean large because it's big. And I have my gloves, and I have some shears out here. And I am going to start filling this bad boy up. And I'm gonna do that from a variety of places. So I have this area over here by my office window that has a bunch of perennials in it. These come back every year. They're done for the season. They're not totally dry yet, but there are a bunch of dead leaves. So I'm gonna start cutting some of these down. I have some leaves in the backyard behind the garage. There's not a ton back here, but there's some back there I can rake up. We don't have any trees in our yard, so we don't normally get a ton of leaves. So we don't really have to rake, which is nice. But for things like compost, you need browns. And so that's like dried leaves, cardboard, newspaper, that kind of thing. I did cut up some cardboard this morning to put in here, and I grabbed a little trash can to put underneath my sink in the kitchen for kitchen scraps. So far I have like 2 banana peels, an apple core, and 2 eggshells. So that's all I have in there. But we're gonna get it started and we'll just build on it as the season progresses. We're gonna come in the garden, and over here are my peas. I brought these up from the basement this morning about 8:30. And right now it's 4 o'clock. So these have been out here pretty much all day, just kind of hardening off, getting used to the weather. They're doing great. So I actually think I'm gonna go ahead and plant these today. Give them a good water and just see how they do. I planted 10 seeds and 7 of them sprouted. So I'm pretty happy with that. I am going to plant them all on this side of the trellis because that's where the sun is. These are in those little bags, and let's see here. Yeah, see, like the roots can come through. You can actually just plant these bags, but I think I'm just gonna try to rip the bottom open a little bit and then plant them so they have a better chance of their roots like getting out the way they need to. All right, the peas are planted. Give them a little bit of a drink and they should be good to go. They look pretty happy. I was not expecting them to be so, to look so good after being outside all day, but I guess I'm just used to like spring plants. When you put those out to harden off, they kind of like droop and get sad. These didn't at all. So color me impressed. I'm impressed. Let's go give these little guys a drink, and then we'll get to filling up that compost bin. And you'll see that I planted them all on this side of the trellis because this side of the garden gets the most sun at this point in the year. I didn't really know that or think about that when I planted little zucchini boy back there. So he doesn't get very much sun. Let's go give him some water though. Something else for me to keep in mind for next year's fall garden is don't plant anything on this side of the garden where the determinate tomatoes were this year for the fall, because they won't get very much sun. Now I will say that I planted some radishes and some carrots out here from seed, and if you look closely, there's a carrot, there's some little carrots, there's a bunch of little baby carrots out here. And over there, see all those little green things? Those are radishes. And those should be ready to pick in like 2 or 3 weeks. They grow super quick. So that's exciting. I've never grown radishes or carrots. Radishes are interesting to me because they grow so fast. I may be able to plant 2 rounds of radishes, I don't know. They also apparently do well like when it's like after the first frost. So that could be interesting, having radishes like into the winter time. All right, gloves are on, got my shears. Don't know if I'm gonna need these, but I have them. And it's time to fill this bad boy up with brown stuff. So I was going to fill the compost up with stuff from the landscaping, and that stuff's not quite dead enough yet, so I ended up just going back behind our garage and raking up some leaves, and I put some grass clippings in there as well from our old compost pile. All I'm gonna do now is slap the lid on it. I'm gonna let it sit like this for a couple days because those leaves will actually compress down, and then I'll have more room in there. And I will also collect some more kitchen scraps to put in there as well. The season's starting to wind down, but not really. I don't know. I'm still trying to think about the spring garden and summer garden for next year. I really feel like next summer's garden is going to be a lot better than this year's. Not to say that this year's was bad at all, because it wasn't. We got so much food from it, and we are still enjoying it, even though it's, you know, mid-October in zone 6A. It's provided us so much food and so much wealth in terms of my happiness and just feeling more relaxed. Even when it was like 100 degrees outside, I obviously hated coming out here because it was so hot, but looking out my kitchen window and seeing all of this just made me super happy. Next year, I have a few new varieties of things I'm going to try, specifically pole beans. I am determined to have pole beans next year, since this year's didn't work out at all. I'm going to try rattlesnake pole beans and purple potted pole beans. I think I started kind of a list of things I want to get and try, and those are both on the list. I think I figured out my tomato situation for next year in terms of using the cattle panels in a way that will let me grow more tomatoes and let me grow other things like squash and grow peppers where I actually get peppers. So I'm excited for that. I am also hopeful about doing things like melons. I have a smaller variety of cantaloupe to try next year. I may also grow more of the cantaloupes I grew this year because those were really good. I think they just I need to plant more. Cucumbers, I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm gonna plant. I may plant burpless again. Those were very good and they grew like mad. I may not do pickling cucumbers again just because they're not as good to eat fresh. They're good pickled, but you can do both with a burpless. I don't know that I need 2 cucumber plants, so we'll see. We'll see what I decide when the time comes next spring. I may go crazy again and plant 2. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to experiment some more with flowers, I think. I planted that one black-eyed Susan that should get bigger, and then I actually have a couple more over here that I can grab the heads off when they die and sprinkle the seeds, and they will come back. I'm sure I'll have some marigolds volunteer because there's like 500 marigold seeds laying on the ground over there. But yeah, I am kind of sad that the garden is closing down. I'm hopeful for next spring, and you know, it's all a learning curve. Even though I've had a garden, it's of some caliber every year we've lived in this house. Just about. I don't know if I grew anything a couple years ago when I had surgery in April, but we've lived here for 5 years, and we have had a garden, I think, almost every year. Maybe 4 of the 5 years we've had a garden. And it started as 2 garden boxes that were like 4 foot by 6 foot, and it grew into this massive garden, and I couldn't ask for anything better in terms of using the space that we have for growing our own food. Obviously I could take over this side of the yard too, but I don't know about that. We'll leave that for later. There's no reason. I have thought about planting sunflowers back by the fence. I think that would be super cool. I might do that next year. But yeah, so sitting out here in the beautiful weather and thinking about the garden and how it came to be, and now it's looking sad but successful. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.